Hi guys, welcome back to another deep dive into the fascinating world of our ancient past. Tonight, we're embarking on an extraordinary journey through time, exploring the mysteries that have captivated historians, archaeologists, and curious minds for centuries. From the towering pyramids of Egypt to the enigmatic stone heads of Easter Island, from the advanced engineering of the Roman Empire to the mysterious disappearance of entire civilizations, we'll uncover the secrets that our ancestors left behind. These aren't just stories about old buildings or forgotten peoples. These are tales of human ingenuity, ambition, and the eternal quest to leave something meaningful for future generations. We'll explore how ancient peoples managed to create architectural marvels that still baffle modern engineers, how they developed complex social systems without modern technology, and how they pass down knowledge through generations despite lacking our contemporary methods of communication and record-keeping. Okay, friends, before you settle in, if you enjoy this kind of deep dive content, then click the like button and don't forget to subscribe. And yes, leave a comment letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. I really enjoy seeing where everyone is listening from. Now, dim the lights and turn on the fan, and let's dive into tonight's journey together. Our story begins in the vast deserts of Egypt, where the morning sun casts long shadows across the Giza Plateau. The Great Pyramid of Khufu stands majestically against the azure sky, its limestone blocks weathered by millennia of sandstorms and scorching heat. This monument, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world and the only one still standing, represents far more than just an impressive pile of stones. It embodies the pinnacle of ancient Egyptian engineering, mathematics, and organizational capabilities that continue to amaze experts today. The construction of the Great Pyramid began around 2580 BCE during the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom. Pharaoh Khufu, also known as Cheops, commissioned this eternal resting place that would stand as a testament to his divine status and ensure his journey to the afterlife. But the sheer scale of this undertaking defies easy comprehension. The pyramid originally stood at 481 feet tall, though it has lost about 30 feet due to erosion and the removal of its outer casing stones. Its base covers 13 acres, and it contains approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing between 2 and 15 tons. The precision with which this monument was constructed continues to perplex modern engineers and archaeologists. The base of the pyramid is level to within just 2.1 centimeters, an accuracy that would be impressive even by today's standards. The 4 sides of the base align almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, with an error of only 3/60ths of a degree. This level of precision suggests that the ancient Egyptians possessed sophisticated surveying techniques and astronomical knowledge that allowed them to achieve such accuracy without modern instruments. The mathematical relationships embedded within the Great Pyramid's design reveal the sophisticated knowledge of its builders. The ratio of the pyramid's perimeter to its height equals pi when divided by 2, a relationship that some scholars believe was intentional rather than coincidental. The pyramid's slope angle of 51 degrees and 52 minutes creates a structure where the apothem, or the distance from the center of the base to the midpoint of any side face, equals the golden ratio when compared to half the base length. These mathematical relationships suggest that Egyptian architects understood geometric principles that would not be formally described by Greek mathematicians for another 1,000 years. The internal chambers of the Great Pyramid demonstrate equally impressive engineering precision. The king's chamber measures exactly 20 cubits long by 10 cubits wide by 11.2 cubits high, using the royal Egyptian cubit of approximately 20.6 inches. The chamber's walls are constructed from precisely cut granite blocks that were transported from quarries over 500 miles away in Aswan. The acoustic properties of this chamber are remarkable, with a resonant frequency that some researchers suggest was designed to enhance religious ceremonies or facilitate altered states of consciousness during burial rituals. The grand gallery leading to the king's chamber represents one of the most sophisticated architectural achievements in the ancient world. This corbelled passage rises at the same angle as the pyramid's exterior faces and features a complex system of grooves and notches whose purpose remains debated. Some scholars suggest these features supported a mechanical system for raising the massive granite plugs that sealed the pyramid after the pharaoh's burial, while others propose they had astronomical or religious significance related to the journey of the deceased pharaoh's soul to the afterlife. Recent discoveries have revealed additional complexities within the Great Pyramid structure. Ground-penetrating radar and thermal imaging have identified several previously unknown voids and passages within the monument. These discoveries suggest that our understanding of the pyramid's internal architecture remains incomplete, and that future exploration may reveal additional chambers or passages that could provide new insights into Egyptian burial practices and architectural techniques. The construction workforce required for the Great Pyramid represents one of the largest organized labor projects in human history. Archaeological evidence from workers' villages near the pyramid complex reveals details about the daily lives of the people who built this monument. These workers were not slaves, as commonly believed, but skilled craftsmen and seasonal laborers who were well-fed and received medical care. The workers' diet included meat, fish, bread, and beer, indicating that the pharaoh's administration invested significant resources in maintaining a healthy and capable workforce. The seasonal nature of pyramid construction meant that work intensity varied throughout the year. During the Nile's annual flood season, when agricultural work was impossible, thousands of farmers joined the construction crews, swelling the workforce to its peak numbers. This seasonal labor pattern required sophisticated planning and resource management to coordinate the efforts of workers with varying skill levels and ensure that construction progressed efficiently despite the changing workforce composition. The tools and techniques used in pyramid construction reveal the ingenuity of ancient Egyptian engineers. Copper tools, including chisels, saws, and adzes, were used for cutting and shaping limestone blocks. Wooden sledges and rollers facilitated the movement of heavy stones, while ramps provided access to higher levels of the pyramid during construction. The exact configuration of these ramps remains debated, with various theories proposing straight ramps, zigzag ramps, or spiral ramps that wrapped around the pyramid's exterior. The logistics of supplying the pyramid construction site required an extensive support network. Quarries had to produce thousands of blocks daily. Boats transported materials across the Nile, and roads were built to facilitate the movement of heavy loads. The coordination of these activities required a sophisticated administrative system with detailed record-keeping, quality control measures, and communication networks that could manage the complex interactions between different aspects of the construction project. The religious significance of the Great Pyramid extended beyond its role as a tomb to encompass broader Egyptian beliefs about death, resurrection, and the divine nature of kingship. The pyramid's orientation to cardinal directions connected it to Egyptian cosmology, while its internal passages and chambers were designed to facilitate the pharaoh's journey through the afterlife. The pyramid texts, though not found in the Great Pyramid itself, provide insights into the religious beliefs that motivated its construction and the elaborate ceremonies that accompanied royal burials. The logistics of building the Great Pyramid required unprecedented organizational skills. Estimates suggest that the construction took approximately 20 years and involved a workforce of around 20,000 people during the peak building seasons. This workforce included skilled craftsmen, engineers, architects, and thousands of laborers who quarried, transported, and precisely positioned the massive stone blocks. The limestone blocks used in the pyramid's core were quarried locally, but the high-quality Tura limestone used for the outer casing came from quarries across the Nile River, requiring sophisticated transportation methods. The internal structure of the Great Pyramid is equally fascinating and mysterious. The pyramid contains three main chambers: the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, and an unfinished subterranean chamber. The King's Chamber houses a granite sarcophagus that was likely intended for Pharaoh Khufu's mummy, though no remains have ever been found within it. The chamber is accessed through the Grand Gallery, an impressive corbelled passage that rises at a 26-degree angle and stretches for 153 feet. Recent technological advances have revealed even more mysteries within the Great Pyramid. In 2017, an international team of scientists used cosmic ray imaging to discover a large void within the pyramid structure located above the Grand Gallery. This void, roughly the size of a commercial airplane, has remained sealed for over 4,000 years, and its purpose remains unknown. Some researchers speculate that it might be another chamber, while others suggest it could be a structural feature designed to reduce the weight pressing down on the Grand Gallery. The techniques used to construct the Great Pyramid have been the subject of extensive debate among scholars. The traditional theory suggests that the massive stones were moved using ramps, rollers, and human labor. However, the specifics of how these ramps were configured and how the builders managed to maintain such precision while working at increasingly dangerous heights remain unclear. Some researchers have proposed that the Egyptians used a combination of external ramps and internal ramps built within the pyramid structure itself. Recent experimental archaeology has provided valuable insights into ancient Egyptian construction techniques. Researchers have successfully moved multi-ton blocks using wooden rollers, copper tools, and teams of workers, demonstrating that the technology available to ancient Egyptians was sufficient for pyramid construction, albeit requiring exceptional organization and planning. These experiments have also revealed the sophisticated understanding of leverage, friction, and mechanical advantage that ancient Egyptian engineers possessed. The Great Pyramid was originally encased in highly polished white limestone that would have made it shine brilliantly in the desert sun. This casing was so smooth and precisely fitted that the joints between blocks were nearly invisible. Arab historians from the medieval period described the pyramid as appearing like a mirror that could be seen from great distances. Unfortunately, most of this casing was removed over the centuries and used for other construction projects in Cairo, leaving only the stepped core that we see today. The cultural and religious significance of the Great Pyramid extends far beyond its impressive engineering. In ancient Egyptian belief, the pyramid served as a machine for resurrection, designed to facilitate the pharaoh's transformation into a divine being and his journey to the afterlife. The precise alignment with celestial bodies was not merely for navigational purposes, but reflected the Egyptians' sophisticated understanding of astronomy and their belief in the connection between earthly and heavenly realms. Moving eastward from Egypt, we encounter another ancient civilization that achieved remarkable feats of engineering and organization, the Indus Valley Civilization. Also known as the Harappan civilization, this Bronze Age society flourished from approximately 3300 to 1300 BCE across what is now Pakistan and northwest India. Despite being one of the world's earliest urban civilizations, the Indus Valley remains shrouded in mystery, largely because scholars have yet to decipher their script. The major cities of the Indus Valley, including Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, display a level of urban planning that was unmatched in the ancient world. These cities were laid out on a precise grid system, with main streets running north-south and east-west, intersected by smaller lanes. The sophistication of their city planning becomes even more apparent when examining their sanitation systems. Every house had access to water and a private toilet connected to a sophisticated sewage system that included covered drains running beneath the streets. Mohenjo-daro, whose name means Mound of the Dead, was one of the largest settlements of the Indus Valley civilization, housing an estimated 40,000 inhabitants at its peak. The city featured a great bath, a structure measuring 39 by 23 feet and 8 feet deep, which was waterproofed with bitumen and accessed by staircases at both ends. The purpose of this structure remains debated, with theories ranging from ritual bathing to practical water storage. The standardization evident throughout Indus Valley sites suggests a highly organized society with strong central authority. Bricks used in construction followed standardized proportions throughout the civilization, with a ratio of 4 to 2 to 1 for length, width, and height. Weights and measures were similarly standardized, with a decimal system based on units of 16. This standardization extended to pottery, tools, and even the layout of cities, indicating either strong cultural traditions or centralized control over vast distances. The sophisticated urban infrastructure of Indus Valley cities reveals advanced understanding of public health and city planning principles. Streets were laid out in perfect grid patterns, with main thoroughfares running north-south and smaller streets intersecting at right angles. The uniformity of this planning across different cities suggests either a master plan implemented across the entire civilization or shared cultural values that prioritized order and functionality in urban design. The water management systems of the Indus Valley represent some of the most advanced hydraulic engineering in the ancient world. Each house had access to a private well, and an elaborate network of covered drains carried wastewater away from residential areas. These drains were constructed with precisely fitted bricks and featured manholes for maintenance access, demonstrating sophisticated understanding of sanitation engineering. The Great Bath at Mohenjo-Daro included a complex filtration system and waterproofing techniques that prevented leakage and maintained water quality. The economic organization of the Indus Valley civilization reveals a complex system of production, distribution, and trade that extended far beyond the civilization's borders. Archaeological evidence indicates extensive trade networks that reached Mesopotamia, Central Asia, and southern India. Indus Valley merchants traded in a variety of goods, including precious stones, metals, textiles, and agricultural products, suggesting a sophisticated understanding of market economics and long-distance commerce. The craft specialization evident in Indus Valley sites indicates a highly developed division of labor. Skilled artisans produced standardized pottery, precision-cut beads, intricate metalwork, and sophisticated seals that served both practical and ceremonial purposes. The uniformity of these products across the civilization suggests either centralized production or shared technical knowledge that maintained consistent quality standards across different manufacturing centers. The agricultural foundation of Indus Valley civilization was based on sophisticated farming techniques adapted to the region's climate and geography. Farmers developed drought-resistant crops and efficient irrigation methods that maximized agricultural productivity in challenging environmental conditions. The surplus food production supported urban populations and enabled the specialization of labor that characterized this advanced civilization. The social organization of the Indus Valley civilization remains largely mysterious due to the undeciphered nature of their script. However, archaeological evidence suggests a relatively egalitarian society with less social stratification than contemporary civilizations in Egypt and Mesopotamia. The absence of monumental palaces or elaborate royal tombs indicates either different social values or political structures that emphasized collective rather than individual power. The technological innovations of the Indus Valley included advanced metallurgy, precision manufacturing techniques, and sophisticated understanding of material science. Bronze tools and weapons demonstrate mastery of alloy composition, while the production of standardized weights and measures required precise manufacturing capabilities. The civilization's ability to maintain technological consistency across vast distances suggests effective knowledge transmission systems and quality control measures. The religious and cultural practices of the Indus Valley people remain largely unknown due to the undeciphered script, but archaeological evidence provides tantalizing glimpses into their belief systems. Figurines, seals, and ritual objects suggest religious practices that may have included fertility cults, animal worship, and ceremonial bathing. The Great Bath at Mohenjo-Daro may have served religious as well as practical purposes, possibly functioning as a center for ritual purification ceremonies. The decline of the Indus Valley civilization occurred gradually over several centuries, with different cities experiencing abandonment at different times. Climate change appears to have played a significant role, as shifting river courses and changing rainfall patterns disrupted the agricultural and water management systems that supported urban populations. The civilization's sophisticated infrastructure, which had been a source of strength during stable periods, may have become a liability during times of environmental stress when maintenance requirements exceeded available resources. The legacy of the Indus Valley civilization extends beyond its impressive technological achievements to include its influence on later South Asian cultures. Archaeological evidence suggests that some Indus Valley traditions persisted in the region long after the civilization's political collapse. Urban planning principles, agricultural techniques, and craft traditions may have been transmitted to successor cultures, contributing to the continuous development of South Asian civilization despite the apparent discontinuity caused by the Indus Valley's decline. The Indus Valley people were skilled craftsmen and traders. Archaeological evidence reveals sophisticated techniques for working with metals, including copper, bronze, silver, and gold. They created intricate jewelry, tools, and decorative objects that demonstrate both technical skill and artistic sensibility. Perhaps most intriguingly, they developed one of the world's earliest systems of writing, consisting of symbols inscribed on seals, pottery, and other objects. However, despite numerous attempts by scholars, this script remains undeciphered, leaving much of their culture and beliefs mysterious. The decline and eventual disappearance of the Indus Valley civilization around 1300 BCE remains one of archaeology's great mysteries. Various theories have been proposed, including climate change that led to the drying up of rivers, invasions by nomadic peoples, internal social conflict, or natural disasters. The civilization's end appears to have been gradual rather than sudden, with cities slowly being abandoned over several centuries. Whatever the cause, the knowledge and techniques of the Indus Valley people were largely lost, only to be rediscovered by archaeologists in the 20th century. Traveling further east, we encounter the ancient civilization of China, where some of humanity's most significant innovations originated. The Great Wall of China, one of the most recognizable structures on Earth, represents not just an impressive feat of engineering, but also the culmination of centuries of military strategy, political organization, and human determination. Contrary to popular belief, the Great Wall is not a single continuous structure built during one historical period, but rather a complex system of fortifications built, rebuilt, and maintained by successive Chinese dynasties over more than 2 millennia. The earliest walls were constructed during the 7th century BCE by various warring states seeking to defend their territories from neighboring kingdoms and nomadic invasions. These initial fortifications were relatively simple earthworks, reinforced with wood and stone. However, it was during the reign of the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, in the 3rd century BCE, that the concept of a unified defensive system took shape. The emperor ordered the connection and extension of existing walls to create a continuous barrier along China's northern frontier. The construction of the Great Wall required an enormous mobilization of resources and human labor. Historical records suggest that over 1 million workers, including soldiers, peasants, and prisoners, participated in its construction during the Qin dynasty alone. The human cost was tremendous, with countless workers losing their lives during construction due to harsh working conditions, accidents, and disease. These workers included not just able-bodied men, but also women and children who served in support roles, providing food, water, and materials to the construction crews. The engineering challenges involved in building the Great Wall were formidable. The wall had to traverse diverse terrains, from desert plains to steep mountain ridges, requiring different construction techniques for different environments. In mountainous areas, builders had to cut through solid rock and construct foundations on steep slopes. In desert regions, they had to deal with shifting sands and extreme temperature variations. The wall's design incorporated not just the main barrier, but also watchtowers, garrison stations, smokehouses for communication, and storage facilities for weapons and supplies. The defensive architecture of the Great Wall incorporated sophisticated military engineering principles developed over centuries of warfare. The wall's height varied between 20 and 25 feet, with crenellated parapets that provided protection for defenders while allowing them to observe and attack approaching enemies. The width of the wall, averaging 15 to 25 feet, was sufficient to allow multiple soldiers to patrol side by side, and provided space for moving equipment and supplies along the fortification. The watchtowers that punctuate the Great Wall at regular intervals served multiple strategic functions beyond simple observation posts. These structures, typically spaced within sight of each other, enabled rapid communication across vast distances through a system of smoke and fire signals. During daylight hours, different combinations of smoke signals could convey specific messages about enemy movements, while nighttime communications used torches and fires visible across the mountainous terrain. The Great Wall's construction required innovative solutions to the challenge of building in remote and hostile environments. Supply lines had to be established across difficult terrain to provide workers with food, water, tools, and building materials. In some areas, entire temporary cities were constructed to house workers and support personnel. These logistics centers included workshops for tool repair, medical facilities for treating injuries, and administrative offices for coordinating the massive construction effort. The human cost of Great Wall construction was enormous, with historical records suggesting that hundreds of thousands of workers died during various construction phases. These casualties resulted from industrial accidents, harsh working conditions, disease, and the physical demands of manual labor in challenging environments. The wall became known as the longest cemetery on Earth due to the number of workers whose remains were incorporated into its structure when burial was impossible. The construction workforce for the Great Wall included not only soldiers and convicts, but also skilled craftsmen, engineers, and local farmers conscripted for seasonal labor. This diverse workforce brought together people from different regions and social backgrounds, creating temporary communities united by the common goal of building the fortification. The interaction between different groups during construction contributed to cultural exchange and the spread of construction techniques across China. The Great Wall's impact on Chinese society extended far beyond its military functions to influence economic development, population distribution, and cultural identity. The wall's construction created demand for specialized skills and materials that stimulated economic activity in remote regions. The permanent garrisons stationed along the wall required ongoing supplies of food, equipment, and personnel, creating economic relationships between frontier regions and China's interior. The maintenance of the Great Wall required constant attention and significant resources throughout Chinese history. Weather, earthquakes, and enemy attacks caused regular damage that had to be repaired to maintain the fortification's effectiveness. Different dynasties allocated varying levels of resources to wall maintenance, with periods of strong central government typically seeing more extensive repair and improvement projects. The Great Wall served as more than just a military barrier. It functioned as a symbol of Chinese civilization and a psychological boundary between the civilized world and the barbarian lands beyond. This symbolic function was as important as its military role in defining Chinese cultural identity and maintaining social cohesion within the empire. The wall represented the emperor's power to mobilize vast resources for projects that benefited the entire nation. The communication system associated with the Great Wall was one of the most sophisticated in the ancient world. The relay network of signal stations could transmit messages across the entire length of the wall in a matter of hours, enabling rapid response to threats and efficient coordination of defensive measures. This communication system required trained personnel who understood the complex signal codes and could operate effectively under combat conditions. The Great Wall's influence on military strategy extended beyond China to affect the tactics and movements of nomadic peoples along China's northern frontier. The wall's presence forced potential invaders to concentrate their forces at specific crossing points where Chinese defenders could be prepared to meet them. This strategic advantage helped smaller Chinese forces defend against larger nomadic armies by channeling attacks into predetermined defensive positions. The materials used in Great Wall construction varied according to local availability and terrain. In areas where stone was abundant, builders used carefully fitted stone blocks. In other regions, they employed rammed earth, a technique involving the compression of soil mixed with gravel and other materials between wooden frames. Some sections incorporated bricks, wood, and even reeds and sand in desert areas. This adaptability in construction materials and techniques demonstrates the practical engineering approach of Chinese builders. The Great Wall served multiple purposes beyond defense. It functioned as a transportation corridor, allowing rapid movement of troops and supplies along China's northern frontier. The wall also served as a customs barrier, regulating trade between China and its northern neighbors. Watchtowers along the wall enabled a sophisticated communication system, using smoke signals during the day and fire signals at night, allowing messages to be transmitted across vast distances in remarkably short time periods. The most famous sections of the Great Wall that tourists visit today were largely built during the Ming Dynasty, which ruled China from 1368 to 1644 CE. The Ming emperors extensively rebuilt and reinforced earlier fortifications, creating the impressive stone and brick structures that have become iconic symbols of Chinese civilization. These Ming-era walls incorporated advanced defensive features, including multiple layers of barriers, strategic placement of watchtowers, and sophisticated gate systems that could be quickly sealed during attacks. Despite common misconceptions, the Great Wall of China is not visible from space with the naked eye. This myth has been thoroughly debunked by astronauts and satellite imagery. However, the wall's historical and cultural significance far exceeds any claims about its visibility from orbit. The Great Wall represents the collective effort of the Chinese people across centuries and stands as a testament to human determination, ingenuity, and the ability to undertake projects that span multiple generations. The construction and maintenance of the Great Wall influenced Chinese society in profound ways. It required the development of sophisticated logistics systems to supply remote construction sites with materials, tools, and provisions. This logistical expertise contributed to China's administrative capabilities and helped establish the bureaucratic systems that would characterize Chinese government for centuries. The wall also influenced Chinese military strategy and technology, leading to innovations in construction techniques, defensive architecture, and communication systems. Moving westward to the Mediterranean, we encounter the Roman Empire, perhaps history's most successful example of sustained military expansion, administrative organization, and cultural integration. The Romans' achievements in engineering, law, governance, and architecture influenced Western civilization for centuries and continue to shape our world today. Their ability to build and maintain an empire spanning 3 continents for over 400 years represents one of humanity's most remarkable organizational achievements. The foundation of Roman success lay in their practical approach to problem solving and their willingness to adapt and incorporate useful ideas from other cultures. Unlike many ancient civilizations that remained relatively isolated, the Romans actively absorbed technologies, techniques, and concepts from the peoples they conquered. This cultural flexibility, combined with their systematic approach to administration and engineering, enabled them to manage an empire of unprecedented size and diversity. The Roman military machine was built on rigorous training, standardized equipment, and disciplined organization that created professional soldiers capable of operating effectively across diverse terrains and against varied enemies. Roman legionaries underwent months of intensive training that included weapons practice, formation drills, physical conditioning, and engineering skills. This comprehensive training produced soldiers who could not only fight effectively, but also construct roads, bridges, and fortifications during campaigns. The Roman approach to conquest involved not just military victory, but systematic integration of conquered territories into their administrative and economic systems. Local elites were often incorporated into Roman government structures. Local customs were respected when they didn't conflict with Roman law, and economic opportunities were created that benefited both Romans and subject peoples. This approach to imperial administration reduced resistance and created stakeholders who had vested interests in maintaining Roman rule. The Roman road system represented one of history's greatest infrastructure achievements, facilitating not just military movement, but also trade, communication, and cultural exchange throughout the empire. Roman roads were engineered to last, with deep foundations, multiple layers of construction materials, and drainage systems that prevented water damage. The famous durability of Roman roads resulted from their substantial construction, with some roads requiring foundations several feet deep and multiple layers of stones, gravel, and paving materials. Roman engineering achievements extended beyond roads to include bridges, tunnels, harbors, and other infrastructure projects that demonstrated mastery of complex construction techniques. The Pont du Gard in France, a 3-story aqueduct bridge, spans the Garden River with arches that have supported the structure for nearly 2,000 years. Roman engineers calculated the precise angles and proportions needed to distribute weight effectively, while allowing the structure to flex slightly during temperature changes and seismic activity. The Roman aqueduct system supplied water to cities throughout the empire, using gravitational flow principles that required incredibly precise engineering calculations. Aqueducts maintained consistent gradients of just a few inches per mile across distances of 50 miles or more, requiring careful surveying and construction to ensure adequate water pressure at their destinations. The engineering precision needed to achieve these gradients while navigating around obstacles and crossing valleys demonstrates sophisticated understanding of hydraulic principles. Roman concrete technology revolutionized construction by enabling the creation of large-scale structures with curved surfaces and complex internal spaces. The concrete formula used volcanic ash from the Bay of Naples, which created a chemical reaction with lime that produced an extremely durable material. This concrete was not just strong, but also resistant to water damage, enabling the construction of harbors, baths, and other structures exposed to moisture. The Colosseum in Rome represents the pinnacle of Roman architectural and engineering achievement, combining innovative construction techniques with sophisticated crowd management systems. The amphitheater could hold over 50,000 spectators and featured a complex network of corridors, staircases, and entrances that allowed the entire audience to enter or exit the building in less than 15 minutes. The arena floor concealed an elaborate underground system of chambers, corridors, and mechanical devices used for staging elaborate spectacles. Roman urban planning principles influenced city design throughout the empire and established patterns that continued to shape European cities for centuries after the empire's fall. Roman cities typically featured a forum at their center, surrounded by important public buildings, with a grid system of streets extending outward. Public amenities, including baths, theaters, markets, and temples, were strategically located to serve the entire urban population effectively. The Roman legal system codified principles of justice and jurisprudence that formed the foundation for legal systems throughout Europe and beyond. Roman law emphasized written statutes over arbitrary judgment, established procedures for legal proceedings, and developed concepts of individual rights and responsibilities that influenced later legal developments. The 12 Tables, Rome's earliest written laws, established principles of legal equality and due process that were revolutionary for their time. Roman administrative systems balanced central control with local autonomy in ways that maintained imperial unity while accommodating regional diversity. Provincial governors represented imperial authority, but worked within established legal frameworks that limited their power and provided mechanisms for appealing their decisions. This system of checks and balances helped prevent the abuse of power and maintained legitimacy for Roman rule across diverse populations. The Roman economy was based on a complex system of taxation, trade, and monetary exchange that integrated regions throughout the Mediterranean world into a single economic system. Roman currency was accepted throughout the empire and beyond, facilitating long-distance trade and economic development. The imperial government invested heavily in infrastructure projects that supported economic growth while also serving military and administrative purposes. Roman cultural achievements in literature, philosophy, art, and architecture influenced Western civilization for centuries and established artistic and intellectual traditions that continue to shape contemporary culture. Roman authors like Virgil, Ovid, and Cicero created literary works that became models for later writers, while Roman architects developed building techniques and aesthetic principles that influenced Renaissance and neoclassical architecture. Roman engineering achievements were particularly impressive in the realm of civil infrastructure. Their road system, totaling over 50,000 miles at the empire's peak, facilitated rapid military movement, efficient communication, and extensive trade networks. The famous saying, "All roads lead to Rome," reflected the reality that this comprehensive road system connected the capital to the farthest reaches of the empire. Roman roads were built to last, with multiple layers, including a foundation of large stones, layers of smaller stones and gravel, and a surface of carefully fitted stone blocks. Many Roman roads remained in use for centuries after the empire's fall. The Roman aqueduct system represents another triumph of engineering and organization. These structures transported fresh water from distant sources to urban centers across the empire, using the principles of gravity flow and precise engineering to maintain consistent water pressure over long distances. The city of Rome itself was supplied by 11 major aqueducts that delivered approximately 200 gallons of water per person per day, a supply that exceeded that of many modern cities. The engineering precision required to maintain proper gradients over distances of 50 miles or more, while crossing valleys and navigating around obstacles, demonstrates the Romans' sophisticated understanding of hydraulic engineering. Roman concrete, known as opus caementitium, was a revolutionary building material that enabled the construction of massive domed structures like the Pantheon. This concrete was made from volcanic ash found near Mount Vesuvius, which gave it unique properties, including the ability to set underwater and increased durability over time. Recent scientific analysis has revealed that Roman concrete actually becomes stronger with age, as seawater causes lime clasts in the material to recrystallize and strengthen the structure. This discovery has led modern engineers to study Roman construction techniques for potential applications in contemporary building projects. The Pantheon in Rome, completed around 126 CE, remains one of the best preserved examples of Roman architectural achievement. Its unreinforced concrete dome, measuring 143 feet in diameter, was the world's largest dome for over 1,000 years. The engineering techniques used in its construction, including the use of progressively lighter materials toward the top of the dome and the strategic placement of a central opening called an oculus, demonstrate sophisticated understanding of structural engineering and material science. Roman military organization was equally impressive, combining disciplined training, standardized equipment, and systematic tactics with flexible adaptation to local conditions. The Roman legion, typically consisting of about 5,000 men, was organized into smaller units that could operate independently while maintaining coordination with the larger force. This organizational structure enabled Roman armies to adapt to various combat situations and terrains while maintaining the discipline and coordination necessary for large-scale military operations. The Roman legal system, codified in the Corpus Juris Civilis under Emperor Justinian, established principles that continue to influence legal systems worldwide. Concepts such as the presumption of innocence, the right to legal representation, and the burden of proof on the accuser all have roots in Roman law. The systematic approach to legal reasoning and the emphasis on written law over arbitrary judgment represented significant advances in the concept of justice and governmental authority. Roman administration of their vast empire required sophisticated systems for communication, taxation, and local governance. They developed a complex bureaucracy that balanced central control with local autonomy, allowing conquered peoples to maintain many of their customs while integrating them into the Roman system. This approach to imperial administration was remarkably successful in maintaining stability across diverse populations and geographical regions for centuries. The decline and eventual fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 CE resulted from a complex combination of factors, including economic difficulties, military pressures from nomadic peoples, internal political instability, and administrative challenges related to governing such a vast territory. However, the Eastern Roman Empire, later known as the Byzantine Empire, continued for another 1,000 years, preserving many Roman traditions and serving as a bridge between ancient and medieval civilizations. Crossing the Atlantic to the Americas, we discover civilizations that developed independently from Old World societies, yet achieved remarkable levels of sophistication in astronomy, mathematics, architecture, and social organization. The Maya civilization, which flourished in Mesoamerica from approximately 2000 BCE to 1600 CE, created one of the most advanced pre-Columbian civilizations in the Americas. Maya achievements in astronomy and mathematics were particularly impressive. They developed a sophisticated calendar system that was more accurate than the Julian calendar used in Europe at the same time. The Maya calendar consisted of multiple interconnected cycles, including a sacred calendar of 260 days and a solar calendar of 365 days, which combined to create a larger cycle of 52 years. They also calculated a long count that could track dates over thousands of years with remarkable precision. The Maya understanding of astronomy was remarkably sophisticated, with detailed observations of celestial movements that enabled them to predict astronomical events with extraordinary accuracy. Maya astronomers tracked the movements of the sun, moon, planets, and stars with precision that rivals modern calculations. They identified the synodic period of Venus as 584 days, which differs from the actual period by only 2 hours. This level of accuracy required centuries of careful observation and mathematical calculation. The Maya concept of time was cyclical rather than linear, with multiple interlocking cycles that governed both cosmic and human events. The sacred calendar of 260 days combined 20-day names with 13 numbers, creating a cycle that influenced religious ceremonies, agricultural activities, and personal destinies. This calendar was synchronized with a solar calendar of 365 days, creating a larger cycle of 18,980 days that governed longer-term religious and political events. Maya mathematical innovations included the independent development of zero as a placeholder and number, a concept that enabled complex calculations and precise astronomical observations. The Maya number system was vigesimal, based on units of 20 rather than 10, which reflected their practice of counting with both fingers and toes. This system allowed Maya mathematicians to perform calculations involving large numbers and to develop sophisticated astronomical tables and calendar correlations. The architectural achievements of Maya civilization demonstrate sophisticated engineering skills and aesthetic sensibilities that produced some of the most impressive structures in the ancient Americas. Maya pyramids were not just religious monuments, but complex astronomical instruments designed to track celestial movements and mark important calendar dates. The Pyramid of Kukulkan at Chichen Itza creates a shadow serpent during the spring and autumn equinoxes, demonstrating the integration of astronomical knowledge with architectural design. Maya cities were carefully planned urban centers that incorporated sophisticated water management systems, defensive features, and public spaces designed to support large populations while serving religious and administrative functions. The city of Tikal, with its towering pyramids rising above the jungle canopy, housed over 100,000 people at its peak and controlled a territory covering over 2,000 square miles. The urban planning of Maya cities reflected complex social hierarchies and religious beliefs, while addressing practical needs for water, food distribution, and defense. The Maya writing system was the most advanced in pre-Columbian America, consisting of over 800 hieroglyphic symbols that could represent sounds, syllables, complete words, or abstract concepts. This flexibility allowed Maya scribes to record everything from historical events and royal genealogies to astronomical calculations and religious ceremonies. Recent advances in Maya epigraphy have enabled scholars to read approximately 80% of known Maya texts, revealing a rich history of political intrigue, warfare, and cultural achievement. Maya art and sculpture demonstrate sophisticated aesthetic sensibilities and technical skills that produced works of remarkable beauty and complexity. Maya artists worked in stone, wood, jade, obsidian, and other materials to create sculptures, jewelry, pottery, and architectural decorations that served both aesthetic and religious functions. The intricate carved stelae found at Maya sites record historical events and genealogical information, while demonstrating the high level of artistic achievement in Maya society. The Maya agricultural system was based on sophisticated techniques that maximized productivity in challenging tropical environments. Maya farmers developed raised field systems in wetland areas, terraced hillsides to prevent erosion, and forest gardens that mimicked natural ecosystems while producing food, medicine, and raw materials. These agricultural innovations supported dense populations in areas where modern agriculture struggles to maintain productivity. Maya social organization was hierarchical, with divine kings ruling city-states that competed for territory, trade routes, and prestige. Maya rulers claimed descent from gods and ancestors, and their legitimacy depended on their ability to perform religious ceremonies, win military victories, and maintain prosperity for their subjects. This political system created a dynamic environment where competing city-states drove cultural and technological innovation, while also generating conflicts that may have contributed to Maya decline. The Maya trade network extended throughout Mesoamerica and beyond, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies across vast distances. Maya merchants traded in jade, obsidian, cacao, feathers, textiles, and other luxury goods that were valued throughout the region. This extensive trade network contributed to cultural exchange and technological diffusion, while also creating economic relationships that influenced political alliances and conflicts. Maya religious beliefs were complex and sophisticated, incorporating detailed mythologies that explained the creation of the world, the nature of gods and spirits, and the relationship between humans and the supernatural realm. Maya religious practices included human sacrifice, bloodletting rituals, and elaborate ceremonies timed to coincide with astronomical events and calendar cycles. These religious traditions provided the framework for Maya political authority and social organization, while also inspiring remarkable achievements in art, architecture, and intellectual pursuits. Maya mathematicians developed the concept of zero independently from other civilizations, a breakthrough that enabled them to perform complex calculations and create their sophisticated calendar systems. They used a vigesimal, or base 20, number system rather than the decimal system used in most modern cultures. This mathematical sophistication enabled Maya astronomers to predict solar and lunar eclipses, track the movements of planets, and create accurate tables for celestial events. The architectural achievements of the Maya are evident in their impressive ceremonial centers and cities scattered throughout the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. Cities like Tikal, Palenque, and Chichen Itza featured massive pyramids, elaborate palaces, and sophisticated water management systems. The Pyramid of Kukulkan at Chichen Itza demonstrates the Maya's integration of astronomical knowledge with architectural design. During the spring and autumn equinoxes, Shadows cast by the pyramid steps create the illusion of a serpent descending the structure's side. Maya writing system was the most advanced in pre-Columbian America, consisting of hundreds of hieroglyphic symbols that could represent sounds, syllables, or complete ideas. Recent advances in Maya epigraphy have enabled scholars to read many Maya texts, revealing a complex history of competing city-states, royal dynasties, and sophisticated political alliances. These texts have provided insights into Maya religious beliefs, historical events, and daily life that were previously unknown. The sudden decline of many Maya cities during the 8th and 9th centuries CE remains one of archaeology's great mysteries. Various factors likely contributed to this collapse, including climate change that led to severe droughts, overpopulation that strained agricultural resources, internal warfare between competing city-states, and environmental degradation caused by deforestation. However, it's important to note that Maya civilization did not disappear entirely. Maya people continued to live in the region, and Spanish conquistadors encountered thriving Maya cities in the 16th century. Far to the south, in the Andes Mountains of South America, the Inca Empire, known as Tawantinsuyu, emerged as the largest empire in pre-Columbian America. In less than a century, from approximately 1438 to 1532 CE, the Inca expanded from a small kingdom centered in Cusco to an empire stretching over 2,500 miles along the western coast of South America. This rapid expansion required remarkable organizational abilities and innovative solutions to the challenges of governing diverse populations across difficult terrain. The Inca road system rivaled that of the Romans in its scope and engineering excellence. Two main highways ran north-south along the coast and through the mountains, connected by numerous smaller roads that created a network totaling approximately 25,000 miles. These roads enabled rapid communication across the empire through a relay system called chasqui, where trained runners carried messages between way stations. This communication system allowed messages to travel from Cusco to distant provinces in just a few days, a remarkable achievement given the challenging mountain terrain. The engineering techniques used in Inca road construction were adapted to the extreme conditions of the Andes Mountains, where roads had to cross high-altitude passes, steep gorges, and unstable terrain. Inca engineers built roads that could withstand earthquakes, landslides, and extreme weather conditions, while maintaining functionality for pedestrian traffic and llama caravans. The roads included stairs carved into rock faces, suspension bridges spanning deep canyons, and tunnel systems that provided protection from avalanches and storms. The administrative organization required to maintain the Inca road system demonstrates the sophistication of imperial bureaucracy and the efficiency of Inca governance. Rest stations called tambos were constructed at regular intervals along major routes, providing shelter, food, and supplies for travelers and chasqui runners. These stations were staffed by local communities who were responsible for maintaining the facilities and supplying provisions as part of their obligations to the imperial government. Inca architecture represented one of the most sophisticated building traditions in the ancient world, characterized by precise stone cutting, earthquake-resistant construction techniques, and integration with natural landscapes. Inca builders developed techniques for cutting and fitting massive stone blocks so precisely that joints were virtually invisible and no mortar was required. This construction method, known as ashlar masonry, created buildings that could flex during seismic activity without collapsing, a crucial adaptation in the earthquake-prone Andes region. The construction of Machu Picchu represents the pinnacle of Inca architectural and engineering achievement, combining sophisticated building techniques with remarkable integration into the natural mountain environment. The site was built on a narrow ridge between two mountain peaks, requiring extensive terracing and drainage systems to create stable foundations for buildings and agricultural areas. The precision of the stonework at Machu Picchu, where massive granite blocks were shaped to fit together perfectly despite their irregular forms, continues to amaze modern engineers and architects. The agricultural innovations developed by the Inca enabled intensive farming in one of the world's most challenging environments, transforming steep mountain slopes into productive agricultural land that supported a population of over 10 million people. The terrace systems, called andenes, incorporated sophisticated drainage and irrigation technologies that prevented soil erosion, managed water flow, and created microclimates suitable for different crops. These terraces covered over 2.5 million acres throughout the Inca Empire and enabled the cultivation of over 70 different crops. The Inca developed one of the world's most sophisticated systems of crop management and food security, with state-controlled warehouses storing surplus food throughout the empire to prevent famine during poor harvest years. The imperial government maintained detailed records of agricultural production, population numbers, and resource allocation using the quipu system of knotted strings. This centralized approach to resource management enabled the Inca to support large populations in challenging environments while maintaining strategic reserves for military campaigns and emergency situations. The metallurgical achievements of the Inca included sophisticated techniques for working with gold, silver, copper, and bronze that produced both functional tools and spectacular artistic objects. Inca metalworkers developed techniques for creating large-scale sculptures, intricate jewelry, and precision tools using methods that included casting, hammering, and inlay work. The famous Gold Garden of the Coricancha Temple in Cusco featured life-sized sculptures of plants, animals, and human figures crafted from precious metals with remarkable artistic skill. The social organization of the Inca Empire was based on a complex hierarchy that balanced imperial control with local autonomy through a system called ayu, which organized people into kinship groups with collective responsibilities for agricultural work, military service, and tribute obligations. This system enabled the Inca to maintain control over diverse ethnic groups while preserving local customs and traditions that didn't conflict with imperial policies. The reciprocal nature of obligations between rulers and subjects created a social contract that provided security and prosperity in exchange for loyalty and service. The religious beliefs of the Inca were centered on the worship of natural forces and ancestors, with the emperor considered a direct descendant of Inti, the sun god. Inca religious practices included elaborate ceremonies timed to coincide with agricultural cycles and astronomical events, human and animal sacrifices to ensure divine favor, and the veneration of mummified ancestors who were believed to continue influencing human affairs. The integration of religious and political authority provided legitimacy for Inca rule while creating shared cultural identity throughout the empire. The educational system of the Inca was designed to prepare nobles for administrative and religious roles, while preserving and transmitting cultural knowledge across generations. Young nobles attended schools in Cusco, where they learned Quechua, the imperial language, along with history, religion, mathematics, and administrative skills. This educational system created a literate administrative class that could manage the complex affairs of the empire while ensuring cultural continuity and political loyalty. The Inca legal system was based on principles of reciprocity and community responsibility, with punishments designed to restore social harmony rather than simply punish wrongdoers. The legal code emphasized collective responsibility and mutual aid, while maintaining strict standards for behavior and social obligations. This approach to justice reflected broader Inca values that prioritized community welfare and social stability over individual rights and freedoms. Inca architecture demonstrated sophisticated engineering techniques adapted to seismic activity and high-altitude conditions. Their most famous achievement, Machu Picchu, showcases the precision of Inca stone-cutting techniques. The structures at Machu Picchu were built using massive stones, cut and fitted so precisely that no mortar was needed, and the joints between stones are virtually invisible. This technique, called ashlar masonry, created buildings that could flex during earthquakes without collapsing, a crucial adaptation in the seismically active Andes region. The agricultural innovations of the Inca were equally impressive. They transformed steep mountain slopes into productive farmland using an elaborate system of terraces called andenes. These terraces prevented soil erosion, created microclimates for different crops, and maximized the use of limited arable land. The Inca also developed sophisticated irrigation systems that channeled water from mountain streams to agricultural areas, often requiring the construction of canals and aqueducts across challenging terrain. The Inca achieved remarkable feats of organization and administration without developing a written language in the conventional sense. Instead, they used a system of knotted strings called quipu to record numerical information, including census data, tax records, and calendar information. Recent research suggests that quipu might have been capable of recording more complex information than previously thought, possibly including historical narratives and administrative communications. The Spanish conquest of the Inca Empire in the 16th century was facilitated by several factors, including superior weaponry, horses, diseases that devastated indigenous populations, and internal conflicts within the Inca Empire. However, the speed with which such a small Spanish force conquered such a vast and sophisticated empire remains remarkable and continues to be studied by historians seeking to understand the dynamics of cultural contact and imperial expansion. Traveling across the Pacific Ocean, we encounter the mysterious Easter Island, known to its inhabitants as Rapa Nui. This remote island in the southeastern Pacific, over 2,000 miles from the nearest populated land, hosts nearly 1,000 massive stone statues called moai that have captivated explorers and researchers for centuries. These enigmatic monuments represent one of the most remarkable achievements of Polynesian civilization and continue to raise questions about ancient navigation, social organization, and environmental adaptation. The creation of the moai represents an extraordinary commitment of resources and labor by the island's inhabitants. The statues were carved primarily from compressed volcanic ash at a quarry called Rano Raraku using basalt stone tools. The average moai stands about 13 feet tall and weighs 14 tons, though some are much larger. The largest completed statue reaches 33 feet in height and weighs approximately 80 tons. The precision and artistry evident in these sculptures demonstrates sophisticated stone carving techniques and a rich artistic tradition. The transportation of the moai from the quarry to their final positions around the island's perimeter required ingenious engineering solutions. Recent experimental archaeology has suggested that the statues might have been walked upright to their destinations using a coordinated rocking motion controlled by ropes. This technique would have required fewer people than previously thought and could explain why many moai appear to have been abandoned along ancient roadways, possibly after transportation attempts failed. The social organization required to create and transport the moai suggests a complex society with sophisticated leadership structures and resource management systems. The island's population, estimated to have peaked at around 15,000 people, would have needed to coordinate the efforts of numerous specialized workers, including sculptors, engineers, transporters, and support personnel. The creation of the moai also required significant agricultural surplus to support non-food producing specialists, indicating successful adaptation to the island's limited resources. The mystery of Easter Island extends beyond the moai themselves to questions about the island's settlement and the fate of its original civilization. Polynesian navigators reached the island around 800 CE, demonstrating remarkable seafaring skills in crossing thousands of miles of open ocean using traditional navigation techniques based on stars, currents, and wildlife patterns. These early settlers brought with them crops and livestock that formed the foundation of the island's economy. The decline of Easter Island's original civilization, often cited as an example of environmental collapse, involved complex interactions between population growth, resource depletion, and external factors. Deforestation eliminated the island's native palm forests, which had provided materials for boat construction, tools, and construction projects. This environmental degradation was compounded by the introduction of rats that consumed palm seeds, preventing forest regeneration. The arrival of Europeans in the 18th century introduced diseases and slave raiding that further decimated the population. Recent research has challenged some aspects of the traditional collapse narrative, suggesting that the island's inhabitants showed remarkable resilience in adapting to environmental constraints. Archaeological evidence indicates that the population developed innovative agricultural techniques, including the use of stone gardens called manavai that protected crops from wind and salt spray while conserving moisture. These adaptations enabled a sustainable population to persist on the island despite environmental challenges. The study of Easter Island provides valuable insights into human adaptation to isolated environments and the complex relationships between population, resources, and environmental change. The island's history illustrates both the remarkable capabilities of human societies to achieve monumental undertakings and the potential consequences of unsustainable resource use. Modern Easter Island, now part of Chile, continues to grapple with balancing tourism, cultural preservation, and environmental protection. Returning to the Mediterranean region, we encounter one of history's most famous archaeological mysteries, the ancient city of Troy. For centuries, Troy existed primarily in the realm of legend, known through Homer's epic poem The Iliad, which describes the 10-year siege of Troy by Greek forces seeking to recover Helen of Sparta. The historical reality behind this legendary city remained uncertain until the late 19th century, when German archaeologist Heinrich Schliemann began excavations at Hisarlik in modern-day Turkey. Schliemann's discovery of multiple layers of ancient settlements at Hisarlik revealed that the site had been continuously inhabited for thousands of years, with at least 9 distinct periods of construction and destruction. This archaeological complexity has made it challenging to identify which layer, if any, corresponds to the Troy of Homeric legend. However, the discovery confirmed that a significant Bronze Age city had existed at this strategically important location, controlling access between the Aegean and Black Seas. The Bronze Age levels at Troy, particularly Troy 6 and Troy 7a, show evidence of a sophisticated urban civilization with massive defensive walls, well-planned streets, and substantial buildings. Troy V6 featured impressive fortifications, including sloping walls over 15 feet thick and towers that provided commanding views of the surrounding plain and sea approaches. The sudden destruction of this level around 1200 BCE, followed by the hasty reconstruction of Troy 7a with more cramped living conditions, suggests a period of conflict and crisis consistent with the legendary Trojan War. Archaeological evidence from Troy and surrounding regions provides tantalizing hints about the historical context that might have inspired Homer's epic. The Late Bronze Age was a period of widespread upheaval in the Eastern Mediterranean, with many cities and civilizations experiencing destruction or collapse. This period coincided with the mysterious activities of the Sea Peoples mentioned in Egyptian records, groups of maritime raiders who attacked coastal settlements throughout the region. The question of whether the Trojan War actually occurred remains debated among scholars. While no definitive archaeological evidence proves the specific events described in the Iliad, the broader historical context suggests that conflicts between Mycenaean Greeks and Anatolian cities were likely during the Late Bronze Age. The strategic importance of Troy's location, controlling the entrance to the Dardanelles Strait, would have made it a natural target for powers seeking to control trade routes between Europe and Asia. Recent interdisciplinary research has provided new insights into the historical background of the Trojan War legend. Analysis of ancient texts, including Hittite records from central Anatolia, has revealed references to a city called Wilusa that some scholars identify with Troy. These texts describe diplomatic relations and occasional conflicts between the Hittite Empire and various Western Anatolian kingdoms, providing historical context for the political relationships that might have led to the conflicts described in Greek legend. The excavation of Troy has also revealed the city's connections to a broader network of Bronze Age civilizations. Pottery and other artifacts found at the site demonstrate trade relationships with Mycenaean Greece, the Hittite Empire, Cyprus, and other Mediterranean cultures. This evidence suggests that Troy was an important commercial center that participated in the complex web of diplomatic and economic relationships that characterized the late Bronze Age world. The legacy of Troy extends far beyond its archaeological significance to encompass its profound influence on Western literature, art, and culture. Homer's Iliad and Odyssey established narrative traditions and literary techniques that continue to influence storytelling today. The characters and themes of the Trojan War have been repeatedly adapted and reinterpreted across centuries, from classical Greek tragedies to modern films and novels. Moving to another Mediterranean mystery, we encounter the Antikythera mechanism, discovered in 1901 by sponge divers off the Greek island of Antikythera. This corroded bronze artifact, initially dismissed as a simple astrolabe, was later recognized as one of the most sophisticated mechanical devices to survive from antiquity. Often called the world's first analog computer, the Antikythera mechanism demonstrates that ancient Greek technology was far more advanced than previously believed. The mechanism, dating to approximately 100 BCE, consists of at least 37 bronze gears housed within a wooden case roughly the size of a modern laptop computer. X-ray analysis and careful reconstruction efforts have revealed that this complex device could predict the positions of the sun, moon, and planets, track the 4-year cycle of Olympic Games, and forecast solar and lunar eclipses decades in advance. The precision of its calculations rivals that of astronomical instruments developed centuries later. The discovery of the Antikythera mechanism has forced scholars to reconsider assumptions about ancient technology and scientific knowledge. The device demonstrates sophisticated understanding of astronomy, mathematics, and mechanical engineering that seemed to have been lost for centuries after the fall of the Roman Empire. Its existence suggests that there was a tradition of complex mechanical devices in antiquity that has left little trace in historical records. The construction of the Antikythera mechanism required highly skilled craftsmen capable of creating precise bronze gears with teeth cut to tolerances of less than half a millimeter. The gear ratios programmed into the device demonstrate sophisticated mathematical calculations based on centuries of astronomical observations. The mechanism incorporated knowledge of the irregular motion of the moon, discovered independently by ancient Greek astronomers and modern scientists. Recent research has revealed additional complexities within the Antikythera mechanism. The device includes a calendar system that accounts for the irregular lengths of months in different Greek city-states and can calculate the dates of major religious festivals. It also tracks the Metonic cycle, a 19-year period after which the phases of the moon repeat on the same calendar dates, and the longer Calippic cycle of 76 years used for more precise astronomical calculations.
The questions surrounding the Antikythera mechanism extend beyond its technical capabilities to broader issues about technology transfer and preservation in the ancient world.
If such sophisticated devices existed, why have so few survived? And why did the technology apparently disappear for centuries? Some scholars suggest that such mechanisms might have been relatively common among educated elites, but were made from materials that corroded or were recycled, leaving little archaeological evidence. The mechanism's influence on our understanding of ancient science extends to questions about the relationship between theoretical knowledge and practical application. The device demonstrates that ancient Greek astronomers were not merely theoretical philosophers, but practical engineers capable of creating sophisticated instruments. This challenges traditional narratives about the development of science that emphasize the separation between ancient theoretical knowledge and medieval practical application. Contemporary efforts to reconstruct and understand the Antikythera mechanism have involved collaboration between archaeologists, historians, engineers, and computer scientists. Advanced imaging techniques, including computed tomography and surface scanning, have revealed details invisible to traditional archaeological methods. These interdisciplinary approaches have become models for studying other complex ancient artifacts. As we conclude our journey through these ancient mysteries, we find ourselves confronted with the remarkable capabilities of our ancestors and the complex challenges they faced in creating lasting civilizations. From the precision engineering of the Egyptian pyramids to the sophisticated astronomy of the Maya, from the organizational achievements of the Romans to the mysterious statues of Easter Island, these civilizations demonstrate that human ingenuity, creativity, and determination have always been capable of achieving extraordinary things. The study of ancient civilizations reveals recurring themes that continue to resonate today. The importance of organization and planning in achieving large-scale projects, the need for sustainable relationships with environmental resources, the value of cultural exchange and adaptation, and the crucial role of knowledge preservation all appear repeatedly in the histories of successful civilizations. These lessons remain relevant as we face our own challenges in creating sustainable and equitable societies. Archaeological research continues to reveal new aspects of ancient civilizations, often challenging our assumptions about the capabilities and achievements of our ancestors. Advanced technologies, including satellite imagery, ground-penetrating radar, DNA analysis, and sophisticated dating techniques, are constantly providing new insights into how ancient peoples lived, worked, and thought. These discoveries remind us that our understanding of the past is always evolving and that many mysteries remain to be solved. The preservation of archaeological sites and artifacts faces numerous challenges in the modern world. Climate change, urban development, tourism, and political instability all threaten the physical remains of ancient civilizations. International cooperation and sustained funding are essential to ensure that future generations can continue to learn from and be inspired by the achievements of their ancestors. The human stories behind these ancient achievements remind us that civilizations are ultimately created by individuals working together toward common goals. The anonymous architects who designed the pyramids, the craftsmen who carved the moai, the engineers who built Roman roads, and the astronomers who calculated celestial movements all contributed to legacies that continue to inspire us today. Their dedication to creating something greater than themselves, something that would endure long after their own lives ended, reflects fundamental human desires for meaning, permanence, and connection across generations. The mysteries of ancient civilizations also remind us of the limitations of historical knowledge and the importance of intellectual humility. Despite centuries of research and analysis, many aspects of these civilizations remain unknown or poorly understood. The undeciphered scripts of the Indus Valley, the transportation methods used for the moai, the exact purposes of megalithic structures, and countless other questions continue to challenge researchers and inspire new generations of scholars. As we reflect on these ancient achievements, we might consider what aspects of our own civilization future archaeologists will find mysterious or impressive. What technologies, social structures, or cultural achievements will puzzle scholars thousands of years from now? What lessons will they draw from our successes and failures? These questions encourage us to think about the long-term consequences of our actions and the legacies we are creating for future generations. The interconnectedness revealed by studying ancient civilizations also has contemporary relevance. Trade networks that connected distant cultures, diplomatic relationships that spanned continents, and the spread of ideas and technologies across vast distances demonstrate that globalization is not merely a modern phenomenon. Ancient peoples were often remarkably cosmopolitan, incorporating influences from distant cultures and adapting foreign technologies to local needs. The resilience demonstrated by many ancient civilizations offers lessons for contemporary challenges. Societies that persisted for centuries or millennia typically developed adaptive strategies that enabled them to respond effectively to changing circumstances. Whether facing climate variations, resource constraints, military threats, or internal social pressures, successful civilizations found ways to maintain their core functions while adapting to new realities. The artistic and cultural achievements of ancient civilizations remind us that human creativity and aesthetic expression have always been fundamental aspects of human nature. The cave paintings of Lascaux, the sculptures of ancient Greece, the intricate textiles of pre-Columbian America, and the architectural marvels of various cultures all demonstrate that people have always sought to create beauty and meaning beyond mere survival needs. These artistic traditions often encoded sophisticated knowledge about astronomy, mathematics, religious beliefs, and social structures. The alignment of temples with celestial events, the proportions used in classical architecture, the symbolic meanings embedded in decorative motifs, and the technical innovations required to create lasting artworks all reflect the integration of aesthetic and intellectual pursuits that characterized many ancient civilizations. The transmission of knowledge across generations presents another fascinating aspect of ancient civilizations. Without modern communication technologies, these societies developed various methods for preserving and passing on accumulated wisdom. Oral traditions, apprenticeship systems, written records, architectural monuments, and artistic works all served as repositories of cultural knowledge that enabled civilizations to maintain continuity across centuries. The role of education in ancient civilizations varied considerably, but often reflected sophisticated understanding of human development and learning. The philosophical schools of ancient Greece, the scribal training programs of Mesopotamia, the priestly education systems of Egypt, and the administrative academies of China all developed systematic approaches to knowledge transmission that influenced educational practices for centuries. Religious and spiritual beliefs provided crucial frameworks for understanding the world and organizing society in ancient civilizations. These belief systems often incorporated sophisticated astronomical observations, mathematical concepts, and philosophical insights that guided both individual behavior and collective decision-making. The monumental architecture associated with religious practices demonstrates the central importance of spiritual beliefs in motivating large-scale social cooperation. The economic systems developed by ancient civilizations show remarkable diversity and innovation. From the tribute systems of empires to the market economies of trading cities, from the agricultural communes of early settlements to the complex financial instruments of later periods, ancient peoples experimented with various approaches to resource allocation and wealth distribution. Many of these economic innovations continued to influence later civilizations, and some remain relevant today. The legal and governmental systems created by ancient civilizations established precedents that continue to shape modern institutions. The Code of Hammurabi, the democratic experiments of ancient Athens, the administrative structures of imperial China, and the legal principles of Rome all contributed to evolving concepts of justice, representation, and governmental authority that influence contemporary political systems. The medical knowledge developed by ancient civilizations often combined empirical observation with theoretical frameworks that, while different from modern scientific understanding, produced effective treatments and preventative measures. Ancient Egyptian surgical techniques, Chinese acupuncture, Indian Ayurvedic medicine, and Greek theories of disease causation all represent systematic approaches to understanding and treating human health problems. The mathematical and scientific achievements of ancient civilizations laid foundations for later developments in these fields. The geometric principles used in pyramid construction, the astronomical calculations of Maya calendar makers, the engineering formulas applied to Roman construction projects, and the mathematical innovations of various cultures all contributed to the cumulative development of human knowledge. The agricultural innovations developed by ancient civilizations enabled population growth and urbanization that supported complex societies. Irrigation systems, crop rotation techniques, selective breeding of plants and animals, soil management practices, and food preservation methods all reflected sophisticated understanding of biological and environmental processes that sustained large populations in various climatic conditions. The metallurgical and materials technologies developed by ancient civilizations enabled the creation of tools, weapons, and artistic objects that enhanced human capabilities and cultural expression. The discovery and refinement of techniques for working with copper, bronze, iron, gold, silver, and other materials represented crucial technological advances that influenced social organization, economic systems, and artistic traditions. The transportation technologies created by ancient civilizations facilitated trade, communication, and cultural exchange that connected distant regions and diverse populations. The development of wheeled vehicles, sailing ships, road construction techniques, and navigation methods all contributed to the expansion of human horizons and the creation of interconnected networks of civilizations. The architectural innovations of ancient civilizations continue to inspire contemporary designers and engineers. The structural principles underlying Roman domes, the earthquake-resistant techniques of Inca builders, the climate-responsive designs of various traditional architectures, and the aesthetic principles embodied in classical proportions all offer lessons for modern construction and design practices. The social institutions developed by ancient civilizations addressed fundamental human needs for cooperation, conflict resolution, and collective decision-making. Family structures, kinship systems, professional organizations, religious communities, and political institutions all evolved to meet the challenges of coordinating large groups of people with diverse interests and capabilities. The communication technologies and information systems created by ancient civilizations enabled the coordination of complex activities across time and space. Writing systems, numerical notation, mapping techniques, measurement standards, and record-keeping practices all contributed to the ability of civilizations to maintain continuity and organize large-scale activities effectively. The environmental management practices of ancient civilizations demonstrate varying degrees of success in achieving sustainable relationships with natural resources. Some civilizations developed practices that maintained ecological balance for centuries, while others experienced environmental degradation that contributed to their decline. These historical examples provide valuable case studies for understanding the long-term consequences of different approaches to resource use. The cultural exchange networks that connected ancient civilizations facilitated the spread of ideas, technologies, and practices that enriched human civilization. The Silk Roads that connected Asia and Europe, the maritime trading networks of the Mediterranean and Indian Ocean, and the overland routes that linked distant communities all served as conduits for cultural diffusion that accelerated human development. The urban planning principles developed by ancient civilizations addressed the challenges of organizing large populations in limited spaces while maintaining public health, safety, and social cohesion. The grid systems of Indus Valley cities, the public spaces of Roman forums, the water management systems of various urban centers, and the defensive considerations incorporated into city designs all represent solutions to enduring urban challenges. The artistic traditions established by ancient civilizations created aesthetic vocabularies and technical innovations that continue to influence contemporary art and design. The realistic sculpture techniques of classical Greece, the decorative motifs of various cultures, the architectural orders of ancient Rome, and the symbolic systems embodied in traditional arts all contribute to ongoing artistic traditions. The philosophical and intellectual traditions developed by ancient civilizations established frameworks for understanding fundamental questions about human existence, knowledge, ethics, and the nature of reality. The rational inquiry methods of ancient Greek philosophers, the systematic approaches to knowledge organization in various traditions, and the ethical principles articulated by ancient thinkers continue to influence contemporary intellectual life. The entertainment and recreational activities of ancient civilizations reveal the universal human need for play, competition, and artistic expression. The Olympic Games of ancient Greece, the theatrical traditions of various cultures, the musical instruments and compositions of different civilizations, and the games and sports practiced by ancient peoples all demonstrate the importance of leisure activities in human societies. The technological innovations of ancient civilizations often emerged from practical needs, but frequently led to unexpected applications and developments. The wheel, initially used for pottery making, revolutionized transportation. Writing systems, developed for record keeping, enabled literature and complex communication. Metallurgical techniques, created for tool making, produced artistic masterpieces. These examples illustrate the unpredictable nature of technological development and innovation. The military technologies and strategies developed by ancient civilizations reflect both the persistent reality of conflict and the ingenious human capacity for tactical and technological innovation. The phalanx formations of Greek armies, the siege engines of various civilizations, the fortification designs that protected cities, and the logistical systems that supplied military campaigns all represent solutions to strategic challenges that influenced the course of history. The trade and commerce networks established by ancient civilizations created economic relationships that transcended political and cultural boundaries. The merchant classes that facilitated long-distance trade, the standardized weights and measures that enabled fair exchange, the financial instruments that supported commercial activities, and the diplomatic agreements that protected trading relationships all contributed to economic development and cultural exchange. The educational institutions created by ancient civilizations established traditions of formal learning that continue to influence contemporary educational practices. The Library of Alexandria, the universities of ancient India, the academies of ancient China, and the philosophical schools of various cultures all represented systematic approaches to knowledge preservation, transmission, and development that laid foundations for later educational institutions. The healthcare systems developed by ancient civilizations addressed the universal human need for medical care through various approaches that combined empirical observation, theoretical understanding, and practical application. The hospitals of ancient civilizations, the medical schools that trained practitioners, the pharmacological knowledge that guided treatment, and the public health measures that prevented disease all represent early approaches to organized healthcare delivery. As our journey through the mysteries of ancient civilizations draws to a close, we are left with a profound appreciation for the creativity, determination, and wisdom of our ancestors. These remarkable societies achieved extraordinary things with limited resources and technologies, demonstrating that human potential has always been capable of surpassing apparent limitations through cooperation, innovation, and persistent effort. The lessons learned from studying ancient civilizations remain relevant to contemporary challenges and opportunities. The importance of sustainable environmental practices, the value of cultural diversity and exchange, the need for effective governance and social institutions, and the crucial role of education and knowledge preservation all emerge as common themes across different civilizations and historical periods. The ongoing work of archaeologists, historians, and other scholars continues to reveal new aspects of ancient civilizations and to challenge our assumptions about the past. Each new discovery adds to our understanding of human capabilities and achievements, while often raising new questions that inspire further research and investigation. The preservation of archaeological sites and cultural heritage represents a shared responsibility that requires international cooperation and sustained commitment. These irreplaceable resources provide unique insights into human history and creativity that cannot be recovered once they are lost. The protection of ancient sites and artifacts ensures that future generations will be able to continue learning from and being inspired by the achievements of their ancestors. The study of ancient civilizations also reminds us of our connections to people who lived thousands of years ago, but who shared fundamental human experiences and aspirations. Despite differences in technology, culture, and historical circumstances, ancient peoples faced many of the same challenges that we encounter today and developed solutions that continue to inform our approaches to persistent human problems. The mysteries that remain unsolved in ancient civilizations provide ongoing inspiration for researchers and curious individuals who seek to understand the past and its relevance to the present. These unsolved puzzles remind us that human knowledge is always incomplete, and that there are always new discoveries waiting to be made by those who are willing to ask questions and seek answers. The remarkable achievements of ancient civilizations demonstrate that human creativity, ingenuity, and determination have always been capable of producing extraordinary results when directed toward meaningful goals. The monuments, technologies, institutions, and cultural traditions created by our ancestors continue to enrich our lives and provide models for our own efforts to create lasting value and meaning. As we reflect on these ancient mysteries and achievements, we might consider what lessons they offer for our own time and what inspiration they provide for our future endeavors. The dedication of ancient builders who worked on projects that would not be completed in their lifetimes, the curiosity of ancient scholars who sought to understand the natural world, and the creativity of ancient artists who sought to capture beauty and meaning in lasting forms all provide examples of human excellence that transcend historical periods and cultural differences. The interconnected nature of ancient civilizations reminds us that human progress has always depended on cooperation, exchange, and mutual learning across cultural and geographical boundaries. The technologies, ideas, and practices that spread among ancient civilizations through trade, diplomacy, and cultural contact demonstrate the benefits of openness to foreign influences and the willingness to adapt and improve upon existing knowledge and techniques. The resilience shown by many ancient civilizations in the face of challenges and setbacks provides encouragement for our own efforts to address contemporary problems and create positive change. The ability of ancient societies to rebuild after disasters, adapt to changing conditions, and maintain their essential values and institutions across generations demonstrates the remarkable capacity of human communities to persist and thrive despite difficulties. The lasting influence of ancient civilizations on contemporary culture, technology, and institutions reminds us that we are part of a continuous human story that extends far into the past and will continue far into the future. Our own contributions to this story will be judged by future generations who will seek to understand our achievements and learn from our successes and failures, just as we now study and learn from the civilizations that came before us. And so, as we conclude this exploration of ancient mysteries and marvels, we are reminded of the enduring power of human curiosity, creativity, and determination to create something greater than ourselves. The civilizations we have visited tonight continue to inspire and educate us, offering glimpses into the remarkable diversity of human experience and the persistent human desire to build, discover, and create meaning that will endure long after we are gone. In contemplating these ancient achievements, we find both humility in the face of our predecessors' accomplishments and inspiration for our own efforts to contribute to the ongoing human story. And with that thought, dear friends, as the shadows lengthen and our journey through time comes to an end, may these stories of ancient wonders continue to kindle your imagination and curiosity about the remarkable legacy of human civilization. And may they inspire sweet dreams of the countless mysteries that still await discovery in the mists of time. Good night.